Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the NFL DFS Core Pick video for Week 10. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how this week's video will be structured. We'll be going over my core picks for both DraftKings and FanDuel. It will be one player at each position, so quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and defense. I will start off by saying you definitely don't have to play all five together, but these are five players that I do like very much for this week overall, given their matchups, given their price tags. So definitely consider playing them as you are building out your lineups. If you're looking for additional advice, I do have my NFL DFS cheat sheets for both sites, and those are 100% free. You can find them on the YouTube community tab, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Blue Sky, and on the Sports Affiliation website. We'll probably also leave them down in the comment section of this video as well. And then if you're looking for a larger player pool beyond that, feel free to check out my Patreon page. Very small monthly donation over there. But without further ado, we'll get started off on the DraftKings side. We're going to start off at quarterback with Jared Goff. He comes in at $5,900. Goes against the Washington defense that is very hurting at this point in time. They just lost Marshawn Lattimore. Frankie Louvu suspended. They've had a plethora of other injuries throughout the season. So at $5,900, looks like a really attractive price tag for him. Definitely do like his ceiling in this matchup overall. And with that being said, he's currently averaging about 18 fantasy points per game. Obviously, we're looking for probably at least 20 out of him to pay off at this price tag, and probably has some upside for even more than that. Then we're going to move down to running back with Rico Dowdle of the Carolina Panthers. He comes in at $6,300, currently averaging just over 15.5 fantasy points per game. Goes against the New Orleans Saints. Should be a very attractive matchup there. In the games where he's been the lead back, he's been very, very productive and very good for DFS purposes. So at this price tag, definitely do love him here once again. And then we're going to move down to wide receiver. And on DraftKings, I went with Amon-Ra St. Brown, stacking him with Jared Goff. Coming in at $400, currently averaging just under 21.5 fantasy points per game. Very attractive matchup versus that Commanders team, whose secondary is very banged up at this point in time, and they are missing some key pieces there, so definitely do like his upside once again in this matchup. And then we move down to tight end with David Njoku of the Cleveland Browns. There is a chance that Harold Fenton Jr. will miss this week. He's technically listed as questionable, kind of up in the air whether or not he'll play or not. David Njoku is coming off a very strong week in his own right. Comes in at $3,200, averaging just over 9 fantasy points per game. Goes against the New York Jets team that are pretty much tanking at this point in time and have not been very good on defense. And they just benched Quincy Williams at linebacker, so it should be a very attractive matchup for him overall. And then last but not least, I'm going to go with the Jaguars defense. It kind of pains me as a Houston Texans fan, but $2,600 going against Davis Mills, missing some starters on the offensive line, should be a really attractive spot for them overall. One of my favorite pay down options for this week just in general. But with that being said, if you go with the five players that I do have listed here, you got $23,600 remaining. So $5,900 remaining per player. So it looks a little bit more like a balanced build. Obviously, we can pay down at some spots, pay up at some other spots. Or, if you want to pay down from like Amon-Ra St. Brown to like a Jameson Williams, you could definitely do that at the same time as well. But with that being said, we'll get moving over to FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there as well. So on the FanDuel side, I will say I had a little bit more of a debate at that quarterback position between Jared Goff at $7,800 and Sam Darnold, who I believe comes in at like $7,500 or $7,400. So definitely do like both of them this week. Also, ended up on Jared Goff here. He comes in at $7,800, averaging just under 18 fantasy points per game. Goes against the Washington Commanders defense. Very banged up defense at this point in time. Missing a lot of key pieces for their defense, including Frankie Louvu at linebacker, who is suspended. So definitely do like the upside of Jared Goff and this Lions offense in this matchup just in general. And then we move down to running back. We got Travion Henderson here at $5,900. Currently averaging just over 6 fantasy points per game on the season. However, Ramondre Stevenson is out once again. Last week, Travion Henderson did see 75% of the snaps. I know that everybody freaked out because Terrell Jennings got the touchdown, but Travion Henderson was still very involved, still very effective. Decent matchup versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I do expect him to be very involved in this game overall, and it looks like one of the better value options at that running back position this week. And then we move down to wide receiver. I'm going to go with Jackson Smith-Njigba on the FanDuel side. He comes in at $9,500. Going against the Arizona Cardinals defense, who have a very, very banged up at secondary at this point in time. Jackson Smith-Njigba is having a very excellent season. Their wide receiver unit is also banged up, even though they went out and grabbed Rashid Shaheed as well to add to their core, but he's still very new to the offense. Definitely do expect another big performance out of Jackson Smith-Njigba this week, and hopefully gets into the end zone at least once, but maybe even twice at the same time as well. Then we're going to move down to tight end. Once again, we got David Njoku. He's at $5,000. Looks like a really good value play on both sides. And he goes against the New York Jets, who are essentially tanking at this point in time. They did bench Quincy Williams at linebacker, so even more of a plus matchup for David Njoku than it would be otherwise. And there is news that Harold Flandon Jr. might miss this week. He is technically listed as questionable, I believe, dealing with a hamstring injury. He's kind of up in the air whether or not he'll play or not. If he's unable to play, then obviously there will be more targets for David Njoku and company. And then last but not least, we're going with the Jacksonville Jaguars, $4,200, currently averaging just under 7 fantasy points per game. They go against the Houston Texans, who are my favorite team, but Davis Mills starting at quarterback this week, a couple of starting offensive linemen out for this game. Definitely do like the upside of the Jacksonville Jaguars at a reasonable price tag for this matchup just in general. But with that being said, if you go with the 5 players that do currently have listed here, you got $27,600 remaining, $6,900 remaining per player. So look a little bit more like a balanced build once again. Obviously, if you want to pay down from like a Jackson Smith and a Jigba to somebody else, you can definitely do that and open up some more money there. But if you want to pay up for some players, if you want to pay down for some players, definitely a lot of ways that we can approach the slate overall. But with that being said, these are my core picks for both DraftKings and FanDuel for NFL DFS for Week 10. If you have any questions related to NFL DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And then once again, if you're looking for additional advice, be sure to check out my NFL DFS cheat sheets. Those are 100% free, and you can find them on the YouTube community tab, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Blue Sky, and on the Sports Affiliation website. And then we'll also be adding them down in the comment section of this video as well. If you're looking for more additional resources beyond that, be sure to check out my NFL DFS player pool, which can be found on my Patreon page. Once again, very small monthly donation over there. But with that being said, if you're brand new on the channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. It helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Greg Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we have NBA DFS in terms of the core pick videos, typically Monday through Friday. I got my NFL DFS core pick video coming out once a week, and that typically comes out on Friday or Saturday. Next week's going to be a little bit tricky as I'm going to be out of town, so I think I might try to get it out on Thursday, so definitely be on the lookout for that. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS and Prize Picks. If you are a brand new user to either one of those sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks, it's 100% match up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty great opportunities to be out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Greg Sport. And we'd be more than happy to help you with that journey. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for this week's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tune in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in NFL DFS for Week 10.